Welcome back to KSN, episode 90. Wow, that's crazy. So, obviously, I got some explaining to do. I didn't do a special Tuesday or Wednesday edition. I'll explain why. It's already Friday. Can you believe that? It's already Friday. So, where am I? Yes, I'm in a first time ever doing a KSN episode in this room. And this is also the first time I am doing this episode from my main PC. Yes, I usually use a laptop, but for the first time, I'm not using the laptop. Okay? I'm going to try this out on the PC. On OBS. That's what I mainly use, the software to record. So, I was potentially going to come back on Tuesday, but I didn't, because on Tuesday night, I did a video of me watching the CFL Western Final game, which aired Tuesday night. So I decided to release that video on Wednesday and do this episode on Thursday, which was yesterday. Well, I was going to do that episode on Thursday morning before I leave the house for work, but I was kind of running short on time, and that's the main reason. It's Friday, it's 3 a.m., meaning I'm recording this before I go to sleep. Yeah. And you heard that voice? Heard that voice? That's Gus Johnson. Yeah, I will talk about Gus on that crazy call, that crazy play from last Saturday's college football game. So, that is when I played his voice, his call, that is the main reason why I'm using this PC, because this PC has computer speakers, okay? Meaning I can adjust the volume mixer, okay? My laptop doesn't have its own speakers, unless if I move my computer speakers to the laptop and connect it, which I actually tried that the other day, but sometimes it's kind of a pain with all the wires and the cords. I don't want to do that. So, yeah, that is why I am in this room, and this is the room where my PC is currently in. Alright? Now, so I apologize once again for this delayed episode. I will do another episode tomorrow, okay, of me previewing the weekend, mainly the CFL Grey Cup, which means this episode is me doing a quick recap of last weekend's in sports. Alright? Uh-oh. I'm already yawning. Yeah, I'm the coach today. I'm the coach, like Jonathan Coachman. They called him the coach, who has his own pro wrestling podcast called Off the Ropes on Sirius XM, which I currently have. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again anyways. I've been kind of taking a break on listening to pro wrestling talk, but I would usually come back by January for the Royal Rumble. I might come back sooner because in about a month will be John Cena's official last match. And no, I don't really keep up with today's WWE, but that's why I mainly listen to the podcasts so that I know what's going on. But for the past month and a half, I kind of been taking a break on listening to the wrestling podcasts, mainly because of the MLB postseason last month. I would listen to some of the games on Sirius XM. All right, so I'll probably come back to listen to a wrestling podcast maybe towards the end of the month, because there's a big event called Survivor Series. So, yeah. Yes, I do. Speaking of John Cena, I do know that he is the Intercontinental Champion, which didn't expect that coming. But after I found out that he won, it kind of makes sense because he completed the Grand Slam. Basically, a Grand Slam champion is if you win the two main titles, the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know if the Tag Team Championships count. I'm not quite sure, but although, excuse me, he has won a Tag Team Championship, so yeah. And he won it in his hometown, Boston, Massachusetts, so it's great for him. The question is, will he remain as Intercontinental Champion before his official last match, which is in about a month, Saturday night's main event, December 13th. All right. So anyways, I watch that old stuff on a weekly basis on mainly Peacock because, when I got Peacock for the first time, it was mainly because of the pro wrestling content. All right. So, we're going to start off with some sad news that I heard on Monday morning. Former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue has passed away. And here's how I found out. I found out by the Tony Kornheiser show. And I was like, damn, that's a big loss. He was the commissioner from, I think, 1990 to 2006, so I wasn't watching sports back then. I mainly started watching sports in 2013. But I remember recent years I would watch some old NFL draft coverage, and some of them, he was the commissioner back then. Yeah, everyone liked him. I never heard anyone that dislikes the guy. He's the one that had to deal with postponing the games after 9/11 in 2001. And then in 2005, Hurricane Katrina, destroyed New Orleans, and the Saints could not play any of their home games in New Orleans. And I think the owner, Tom Benson, at the time, he was thinking about moving the Saints to San Antonio. And the commissioner, Tagliabue, was like, no. No. Saints are staying in New Orleans. And then the following year in 2006, the Superdome reopened on that Monday night football game that we'll never forget. the Steve Gleason block punt return for a touchdown. One of the best moments in Saints history. Yeah, you can find that on YouTube. Mike Tirico was on the call. I believe Tony Kornheiser was actually there too. Yeah, Tony Kornheiser was actually part of Monday Night Football. I think, was it just for one season? But the reason why he left, he decided not to do it, was because apparently he had a fear of flying. Yeah, some people, they don't like flying. I mean, it can kind of be scary. You know, another one who didn't like flying, John Madden, the great John Madden. He would have his own bus, the Madden bus. He would take the bus, even if it's a long ass trip, he would take his bus. So, yeah. Just want to say rest in peace to Paul Tagliabue, former NFL commissioner, and you know, at this point, those were the good old days. You know, yeah, he was a great man, and it's funny because you know how when you watch today's draft, Roger Goodell comes out and he gets booed. But now that's kind of become a tradition. Whenever he comes out, he gets booed. Paul Tagliabue was never booed. The commissioner before him was Pete Rozelle. He never got booed. You know, that means they were great commissioners. You know? So, yeah. You just never know, man. You'll hear some unexpected news. Oh, also, I read that he was also an attorney, a lawyer, Paul Tagliabue. Yeah. I listened to, excuse me, I listened to, you know, most of the podcasts that I listen to are on Sirius XM. One of them is called Let's Go with Jim Gray. He would have Matthew Stafford and Max Crosby, who are active NFL players. And then he would have Peter King. So when he had Peter King on, they were mainly talking about Paul Tagliabue. So yeah, just want to say rest in peace to the great former NFL commissioner Paul Tagliabue. All right. So it's hard to remember, and no, I didn't. I know I said previous episodes that I made a list of the things I want to talk about, but this time I'm gonna do a challenge on. Since this episode's kind of late, anyways, most likely I'm not gonna talk about everything that I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna try to talk about the things that I remembered. I'm going to try and remember the things that I want to talk about from this past weekend. So that's my challenge. Try to remember everything you wanted to talk about without writing it down on the list. But you know what? That's fine because this episode won't be very long. Remember, there was I did a couple episodes that were over 2 hours. Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. And not many people have 2 hours of free time of them listening to me. Except for you, 5-tayer. Without you, this podcast would probably not exist. Maybe it probably still would exist, but I might end it. We're almost at 100 episodes. Think about that. My goal was to do this for the rest of the year or until the Super Bowl. It might as well be until the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl is like to me, it's the grand finale for sports championships. Even though I already talked about this year's Super Bowl, but it's the most, it gets the most ratings, you know? So, yeah. All right. Um. Yeah. So this episode, I'll try to talk about the things that I remember from this past weekend. Even though I'm kind of late to this, but that's fine. Tomorrow, I'll do another episode of me previewing the weekend, mainly the CFL Grey Cup. All right. Here we go. Now, this is the football junkie season. Because the World Series is over. I am not paying attention to the NBA and the NHL. College basketball started, but I don't really pay attention to that until mainly March Madness. Same with the NBA and NHL playoffs. I don't really pay attention much to the regular season. That's just me. I've always, you know, recent years I've always been into American football and Canadian football, so this is really the time. I'm going to be watching a lot of football. Grey Cup is coming up. After that, that's when after the Grey Cup, that's really when the college football and the NFL season gets interesting. It really is. So yeah, for the next under 3 months, almost 3 months from now, will be the Super Bowl. All right, so I believe that. What date is the Super Bowl? I think it's a little bit earlier next year, February the 8th. It used to be on the first Sunday of February. Now it's on recent years. It's on the second Sunday of February. In the old days, it used to be on the last Sunday of January. Okay. All right. Because they extended the season. I hope they extended the season one more week. They play 17 games. They might as well play 18. 18's an even number. And the CFL, they play 18 games with only 9 teams. So the NFL can easily do that. All right. Let's go to college football here. Wow, 18 minutes. That's crazy. Me talking. Week 11. Didn't really watch much games because I was actually out of town this past Saturday. I went to see someone for his birthday. However, I did see the last 5 minutes of the big noon kickoff game on Fox between number 2 Indiana at unranked Penn State. When I say the last 5 minutes, I'm talking about when there's 5 minutes left on the game clock. So that took 20 minutes to watch the rest of those 5 minutes of the game clock. Yeah, the game was on that TV behind me where I'm pointing at. It was on that TV. And I was getting ready to leave, right? I was getting ready to leave, but then I saw the score was close, and I'm like, what if Penn State wins this game? I'm like, what if Indiana loses? What if another top 5 undefeated team lose? I mean, it's crazy. Indiana is number 2, 10-0, okay? Undefeated. Penn State, didn't they used to be number 2 in the country until they lost to UCLA or Oregon? After the Oregon loss, they lost to UCLA, and then they lost to Northwestern at home, and it just got ridiculous. James Franklin got fired. Oh my gosh. It looked like Penn State was going to win this game. Indiana, oh my goodness. Years ago, they used to be really bad. And Vanderbilt. Imagine that as the national championship. Indiana against Vanderbilt. Now that is kind of crazy. That can happen. Okay, so Indiana was up 20-7 in the third quarter. Then Penn State took the lead at 24-20. And then the crazy Gus Johnson called happened. That's why I played his audio. First time ever I played an audio, right? Of a broadcast. I mean, that has to be the play of the year. Quarterback for Indiana, Mendoza threw a crazy pass that turned into the end zone, that turned into a crazy catch by Amar Cooper. Indiana took the lead, and they won 27-24. Play of the year. Also, that was the silliest call of the year by Gus Johnson. I've always liked Gus Johnson, even though I don't really hear him much because I don't really watch the big noon kickoff games like I used to. I mainly watch SEC games on ABC, but I mainly like Gus Johnson. I guess he is my favorite non-ESPN college football announcer. I think he is. I do mainly watch the Big Ten championship game. Last year, wasn't the Big Ten championship game on CBS? Because now CBS has the rights to Big Ten games, which I find that kind of weird. Mainly because Gary Danielson's retiring, but he's done a bunch of years with the SEC. But I think they alternate. Fox and CBS, they alternate for the Big Ten championship. So if CBS hosted last year's Big Ten championship game, then that means this year's will be on Fox, and that means Gus Johnson will be on the call. But he usually calls the Ohio State-Michigan game the biggest rivalry. Okay? I try to watch that game because it's the biggest rivalry. But man, when I heard Gus Johnson's call, it was funny. That made me laugh, and it sounded like he was out of breath. Sounded like he was gonna pass out in the booth. I mean, Gus Johnson, he's always had that crazy energy, enthusiasm, exciting voice. He actually used to be on CBS. The good old days of CBS Sports. He would call some March Madness games, and NFL games. So, yeah. What a win. What a win for Indiana. They remain undefeated. Penn State 3-6. They may not go to a bowl game. Imagine that. A team that was number 2 in the country earlier this season not going to a bowl game. They're 3-6, so Penn State's remaining schedule. At Michigan State, they can probably win that game because Michigan State's also 3-6. At home against Nebraska, Nebraska's pretty good, but Penn State can probably win that game as well. They almost beat Indiana. And then at Rutgers. So they can probably win the rest of their games. They got to win 2 out of 3 to get into a bowl game. All right. Number 1, Ohio State. Easy win. Clearly the best team in the country. They faced Purdue. They crushed them 34-10. And wasn't that game on the Big Ten Network? The number 1 team in the country was playing on the Big Ten Network. Here's a pretty big game in the SEC. Number 3, Texas A&M. They beat number 22, Missouri, in Missouri. And it wasn't close. 38-17. Oh. A&M. A&M is all business. Georgia, number 5 team in the country, got a big win in Starkville, Mississippi, 41-21. Now, I think the biggest matchup from Week 11 was number 7 BYU at number 8 Texas Tech. This game was on ABC at 11 a.m. And Texas Tech also means business with a 29-7 victory over BYU. That game should have been prime time, in my opinion. Instead, the primetime ABC game was LSU at Alabama, unranked LSU, after they fired Brian Kelly. Okay? In my opinion, I don't know, that's weird. That was the primetime game. You know? Should have had BYU and Texas Tech as the primetime game. So I assume Joe Tessitore called that game with Jesse Palmer. And, Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy, they called the LSU-Bama game. So I believe what is the 2:30 ABC game? What game was that? Was it the A&M Missouri game, or was it the Georgia-Mississippi State game? I can check. You can check the times of these games, so that's great. Okay. Oh, okay. It was A&M at Missouri. So that means Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were on the call for that one. I believe game day. Was game day in Missouri? No. They were in Texas Tech. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. Maybe Chris Fowler and Kirk called that game, because I really don't know. Because that game was on ABC. Let's look that up right now. College game day, which I don't watch anymore. I mainly watch SEC Nation. Because, I am mainly an SEC junkie. So, game day, they were in... Okay, so they were at the BYU Texas Tech game. So that means Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were on the call for that one. That should have been the prime time game. Should have been the prime time game, in my opinion. All right. Moving on now. Number 9, Oregon at your favorite team, 5-Tayer. Number 20, Iowa Hawkeyes in Iowa. This was a close game. Defensive game, too. 18-16, Oregon got the victory. That's a weird score. Number 14, Virginia, with a home loss to Wake Forest, 16-9. Another home loss. This is for Louisville. Number 15, Louisville lost at home in overtime to California. A pretty wild SEC game between Vanderbilt and number 16 Vanderbilt against unranked Auburn. Vanderbilt won in overtime, 45-38. Yeah, most of these games I didn't see. I was doing other things. But here's the thing: I have YouTube TV. Oh, Wisconsin, unranked Wisconsin upset Washington, number 23. I have YouTube TV, and apparently they don't have the ESPN networks on there anymore because of some agreement where both parties could not get along. And that's very unfortunate during this time of the year because it's the football junkie season. So I can't record my favorite shows because I can't record my favorite ESPN shows because they're not on YouTube TV. Now that really sucks. That really sucks. I mean, during this time of the year, with all these football and basketball games, it's weird. All right, now I'm going to look at the college football playoff ranking, which I did see, by the way. I did see the video of them revealing. All right. So, drop from the rankings, Missouri and Washington. So I'm going to start from 25 and work my way up to number 1. 25 is Cincinnati, 7-2, Big 12 Conference. 24 is South Florida, the American Conference, 7-2. 23 is Tennessee, SEC Conference, 6-3. Number 22 is Pittsburgh, ACC Conference, 7-2. 21 is Iowa, Big 10 Conference, 6-3. 20 is Louisville, ACC Conference, 7-2. 19 is Virginia, ACC, 8-2. 18 is Michigan, Big 10 Conference, 7-2. 17 is USC, Big 10 Conference, 7-2. 16 is Georgia Tech, ACC, 8-1. 15 is Miami, ACC, 7-2. Vanderbilt, 14, SEC, 8-2. 13 is Utah, Big 12 Conference, 7-2. 12 is Utah, Big 12, 8-1. 11, Oklahoma, SEC, 7-2. 10, Texas, SEC, 7-2. 9, Notre Dame, no conference. 8, Oregon, Big 10, 8-1. 7 is Ole Miss, 9-1. 6 is Texas Tech, Big 12 Conference. 5 is Georgia, SEC, 8-1. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Texas Tech, 9-1. Ole Miss, 9-1. Oregon, 8-1. Notre Dame, 7-2. Alabama, another SEC team in the 8-1. A&M, undefeated, 9-0. Indiana, 10-0. They didn't get their bye. They're 10-0, but they didn't get their bye. Ohio State, number 1, undefeated. So we really have 3 undefeated Power 5 teams. 2 of them are from the Big 10. Will that be the Big 10 championship between Ohio State and Indiana? And those 2 teams didn't face each other in the regular season. I think the SEC championship game will be A&M against Bama, which that will be interesting. So yeah, the first Saturday of December, conference championship for college football. So let me see here to look at the rankings here again. They're doing the 12-team playoff format. I guess I don't think it's the exact same though as last year's because it's harder. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember some of the rules, but I do know it'll be 12. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of ACC teams, Big 10 teams, and SEC. The rankings, they look about right to me, I think. We got a lot of football left to be played. So, Sunday, NFL Sunday. I could not believe the Buffalo Bills lost to the Miami Dolphins in Miami. But get this, it was by 17 points. What the hell happened to this team? Seriously. The Aints got a victory against their division rivals, the Carolina Panthers, at the road, 17-7. Which is really strange because last week the Carolina Panthers beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. And then the following week, can't beat the Aints at home? Kind of embarrassing. There was another Europe game in the NFL. I'm like, what the heck? How many more times? with these notifications. Alright. So, yeah, this is like the most NFL European games they've ever had in one season, right? Is this the record? I think it is. It's crazy. So yeah, the NFL has been kind of a roller coaster season. The biggest story, I think, was the New England Patriots getting a road win at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 28-23. The Baltimore Ravens, they got Lamar Jackson back. They looked a lot better. Seattle Seahawks look really good. The Washington Commanders, not so much, due to Dayton Daniels' injury, right? Even though this team was in last year's NFC Championship. We had a big NFC West showdown between the LA Rams and your favorite team, Five Taylor, the San Francisco 49ers. This was in San Francisco, and LA won by 16 points. The Rams, I think they are the best NFC team. Normal? Let's see. Yeah, I think the Rams are probably the best team in the NFL. And we had a weird Sunday night matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the LA Chargers, which I didn't watch. Some teams haven't had their bye yet. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. The main game I really watched was the last game, that Monday night game, that freezing Monday night game between the Eagles and the Packers in Lambeau Field. The main reason why I watched this broadcast was because of the Manning cast. That's right, they brought back the Manning cast, so that's great. So yeah, it was freezing. Usually, a freezing cold game, it would be low scoring, and this was low scoring. Didn't thought it would be this low scoring. 10-7, Eagles get the victory. So, yeah. All right. As you can tell, if you can't tell, I'm getting sleepy. Oh. Oh, man. So, any other news here? Go to ESPN notifications. Sometimes I get notifications here from the app. Yeah. CFL. Last weekend, CFL Eastern and Western final. I didn't see those games live. That was on a Saturday. That was when I was out of town to see someone for his birthday. Yeah. So I didn't want to get spoiled, so I waited until the late night replay on TSN 2. So I thought they would show it again late Saturday night, but no. I had to wait until Sunday night to watch the first playoff game. And then the second one, I watched that on Wednesday night. Alright. Otherwise, if I didn't, go see him for his birthday, I would have watched those live. Because this is it. Playoffs. Playoffs? Talking about playoffs? Yeah. Man, so both the CFL games last Saturday were really great. So, first one, the Eastern Finals, my favorite team, the Alouettes, Montreal Alouettes against the Calgary Stampeders. This was in Calgary because they have a better home loss record. But I said to myself, Montreal can probably win this game, but I did pick Hamilton to win. As a matter of fact, I picked them to go to the Grey Cup and win the Grey Cup. But they got eliminated 19-16. Great game. Davis Alexander, what a entertaining quarterback. Because when he was injured, the team was pretty bad without him. That just shows you how important the quarterback really is. Then the Western Final, the BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I was surprised by this game because I didn't thought BC would score a lot of points, but they sure did in this crazy weather. Crazy weather indeed. This game was freezing. It was so cold. It was like in the low 20s Fahrenheit, and it went up to the high teens Fahrenheit. That is nuts. So, yeah, surprisingly, BC put up a better fight than I thought. Nathan Rourke, everyone's favorite quarterback because of him criticizing the commissioner. But the Rough Riders were actually down by were they down by they were losing. They got a touchdown with not much time left on the clock. And the Rough Riders won 24-21. And I remember the BC Lions kicker, he missed a field goal. I don't know when this was. Maybe this was towards the the beginning. Great game. Both games were great. So the Grey Cup is officially set. Montreal Alouettes against the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Winnipeg. So I will preview that in the next video, which I guess it'll have to be tomorrow. Yeah. So, you guys heard Gus Johnson's call going crazy, losing his voice. Well, there was another play that reminded me of whenever I think of Godfather. Yeah, excuse me. Falling asleep here. What I meant to say, I was checking to see if there was any other news for me to look at. Yeah, the Grey Cup is set. Alouettes against the Rough Riders should be a great one. Interesting matchup. The Rough Riders, will they prove that they are really the best team? I mean, I guess they are what their record says they are. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, Gus Johnson. At the beginning, I played his crazy call. Now, in a little bit, towards the end of this episode, I'm actually going to play another one of his calls. This one is actually one of my favorites. This was back... Oops, excuse me. I believe this was 2017. So thanks for listening. See you tomorrow. Listen to Gus Johnson's funny call.
slider to the sideline, caught. First down.
Woo! What a hit! Denzel Ward! You got barbecue back there? And you didn't invite me? Hurt my feelings!